that don't have love in their life are much more likely to have bad behavior. You can see that also from prison studies, that a lot of behavior, especially pedophiles, have previous abuse. They have a lack of love. Now, what you call evil, I call bad behavior, and the worst part of your evil is my idea of the least amount of love in somebody's life. So if you give love to somebody, their moral stature, their moral box, their bank will grow and grow if you keep on giving them love, even if punishment is love.
So you believe in reward and punishment learning, right?
Of course.
So do you continue doing B&Es? Breaking and entering?
Oh, no. Well, I told you I tried to.
But you were not punished. So where
I was not punished. That was in me to decide for myself to make amends.
Where did it come from?
From my social upbringing. I told you I felt bad for years. I probably think a couple times a year on it, but from my upbringing.
You believe in your conscience?
Of course. That's another thing that I'm studying right now is conscience and cognitive dissonance.
Bruce, I want to go to your to one of your commentaries on the website.
Okay.
And he says, wouldn't it be better to have Jesus born in today's society? There would be miracles that could be documented for all to see on national TV.
I wrote that.
You wrote that. Yeah, this is your words. Now, you think people 2,000 years from now would be believing what we read, what we write today?
That's a loaded question. I can't. Can you be more specific?
Written and documented 2,000 years ago, and there's.
Oh, you're talking. You know, sir. What's your name, sir? What's your name?
My name is Tony.
Tony, you're talking about the Bible. I don't have much credence in the Bible. So when you're talking about something that someone else doesn't really believe too much, I really can't say much about it.
Okay, let's say, like you said in your website, Jesus would come today, which he will. It is written and it is prophesied. Now, would you think that people 2,000 years from now would believe what we write today?
It depends. If we write something scientific and it's still true, if Newton wrote the laws of physics today in 2,000 years, the laws of physics would still be working, people would believe it, yes.
Don't you think people will have different views 2,000 years?
It might be a Muslim world by then, who knows? Europe is becoming more Muslim right now. But let me touch on one thing.
Just a comment real quick.
I forgot my
Newton
thought.
was a God-fearing man.
I'm sorry?
I heard Newton was a God-fearing man.
There's a lot of scientists that were deists.
Just to throw that in there.
A lot of scientists that were deists. Einstein said, God does not play dice. I think you emailed me that, didn't you?
That doesn't mean he believed in God.
That's absolutely right. If you look at the paragraph before and after that, it was an example, and I'm sure Doug's well aware of it. Well, we might believe different things, and I respect your decision or your belief. That's one thing about this particular exchange that we're doing. I respect all of you for your beliefs, and I truly believe that all of you believe in what you believe. And I hope, that sounds stupid, doesn't it?
Bruce, I have one more question.
But you also should, I hope, you can respect me as a person if I was a Buddhist up here, or a Hindu, or a Muslim, or an atheist. It really doesn't matter. If you take away religion from society, we all have the same values. I want to treat my fellow men nice.
I speak for myself. I would see everybody as a creation of God, as a human being. I would not demote them because of their beliefs. I don't demote you because of what you believe. It's your choice, and God has given you that choice. Now, my question is this. You also said that there are popular gods before Jesus Christ.
That's right.
All right. How come none of them are popular today? How come?
That's a good question.
How come none of them?
Very good question.
None of their names are mentioned?
Why aren't the old popular gods? Well, actually, they are. In fact, Doug, as I saw Doug on YouTube, and I'm studying that. I got 3 books on it now, Doug. So in about a couple months, I'll come back to you and talk about Mithra, Attis, and all the other gods that were very, very similar to Jesus' miracles, death, resurrection, birth date, and 12 disciples and 12 brothers from the previous religions. Your question is, why aren't those other religions available? Christianity was actually very unique in the way that it started writing down things. It was kind of like, that's about the time where papyrus was getting cheaper, parchment was getting cheaper, books were readily scribed and copied, and it was actually a great time for any religion, happened to be Christianity, that books could be written and distributed, because you couldn't distribute the Bible verbally. You couldn't take it to another town and take it verbally. So I'm not saying this is neither good nor bad. For me, this is just basically part of his story. You can even call it the evolution of written history. There are very few texts that were written, and usually only very few people could read. The people who could read were 3 to 5%. Very few people could read, and people usually of power could read and write. And so those are the ones like Constantine who got together, and I'm sure Doug agrees with me on this, and took the first canon, put the selectable books together from the Bible, eliminated some, took most of them, and changed a couple of them, and in 325 AD, that's what happened. So the answer to your question is, it's because it was written more than other gods.
Okay. Since my topic is prophecy, it is written that Jesus himself said it on his own words, heaven and earth will pass, but my words will
And
not.
I read that too.
And that is why we still have it, and that is why we get so attacked today. I mean, there is a lot of people that are done a lot of wrong.
Here's the thing, Tony, about that. That's kind of a good question, but in the Bible, and this has been misinterpreted. In my interpretation, Jesus comes back from the dead and says to all of his disciples, or was it just Paul? Vaughn, please help me on this if I'm wrong. Said to one or more of his disciples, I will be back before any of you die. That's within one generation. Do you recall that, Vaughn?
Several of them. Yeah,
several of those? Doug, do you have a response for that, or Tony? Because it's been a long time since everybody has died back then.
Well,
and remember, some of these books were written 5 generations after this supposedly thing was said. So you're talking about multiple books of the Bible. This is another reason why the Bible doesn't make any sense to me. It's because they were written 5 and sometimes 10 generations after the supposedly thing that was said. How can anybody, even by word of mouth, memorize such a big book? So that's one reason. I know that the answer is there. For you, that is, and not for me.
It is for me, because it's also written in the Bible. When Moses came to speak to the people of Israel, they could not stand the shininess of his face, the glory of God on him. Therefore, it was a veil put on their eyes.
You're talking to deaf ears there, buddy.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just
Doug, do you have a response to the...
yes. What you're talking about is in Matthew 16, 27. It says, for the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will reward each according to his works. Assuredly, I say to you, there are some standing here who shall not taste death till they see the Son